Welcome back, everyone, to the deep dive. You know how much we love getting into those really foundational texts?
Oh, absolutely. Those cornerstones.
Well, today we're diving into excerpts from Exodus, chapter
Yeah.
19.
Exodus, yeah.
We're going to take a close look at the arrival of Israelites at Mount Sinai and their initial interactions with God through Moses. And let me tell you, it gets pretty dramatic.
Dramatic's a good word for it. I think what really grabs me every time I revisit this section is that setup. It's meticulous. It's not just about the encounter, the meeting itself. It's the deliberate preparation, the setting of those boundaries right from the beginning. That really sets the stage.
You're so right. It's like we're getting a front row seat to a pivotal moment. It's a unique window into the very beginning, the genesis of this relationship.
We're going to break down those seemingly small details, those instructions, to really get a sense of the anticipation, the sheer weight of what's about to happen. God appearing on Mount Sinai.
Okay, so let's get into it. The text starts with a very specific timestamp. On the first day of the third month after the Israelites left Egypt, on that very day they came to the desert of Sinai.
Right. It's not around that time or shortly after. It's on that very day.
Exactly. On that very day. It feels important, intentional.
Oh, it definitely draws your attention to the timing. It suggests that this isn't just a random stop on their journey. It's a divinely appointed moment, this huge event, wired to a very specific point in time following their liberation from Egypt.
And the location, the text is very specific about that too. It lays it out. They journeyed from Rephidim, entered the Sinai desert, and they set up camp right in front of the mountain.
In front of the mountain. The mountain itself becomes a central figure, a towering, imposing presence in the story.
So the setting is key.
It's far from arbitrary. Camping in front of the mountain really builds that anticipation. Like everyone's gathering at this sacred, powerful place.
And then Moses ascends the mountain. He takes the lead. The Lord calls to him and delivers the first message, a message for the Israelites. And it's powerful. It starts by reminding them of their recent past. God says, "You yourselves have seen what I did to Egypt, and how I carried you on eagle's wings and brought you to myself."
Wow, that imagery is so vivid. Eagle's wings, it's not just about rescue. It speaks to a very powerful, almost parental kind of care, lifting them up beyond their former status as slaves. It sets the scene beautifully for what follows.
Yeah, it's laying the groundwork for the covenant, because right after that, God says, "Now if you obey me fully and keep my covenant, then out of all nations you will be my treasured possession. Although the whole earth is mine, you will be for me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation."
A big if, with a huge potential reward.
A huge if. What's that telling us about this relationship that's being offered?
Well, the condition of obedience is key here. It really highlights that this is not a one-way guarantee. It's a relationship that requires participation, action from the Israelites, but the promise, that is extraordinary, to be a treasured possession, a kingdom of priests, a holy nation.
And that phrase, "although the whole earth is mine."
Right. It gives us vital context. God's sovereignty is universal, but he's choosing to enter into this unique and special bond with this specific group, the Israelites, a kingdom of priests. Think of it as a nation where everyone has a direct line to the divine, acting as a bridge for others, a radical concept for that time.
And what's the immediate response from the people?
Well, they're clearly on board initially.
It's immediate and unified. They say, "We will do everything the Lord has said." And then Moses takes that answer back up the mountain. But is that really the whole story?
It's a significant first step, shows willingness to enter into the covenant. But remember, they're hearing all this through Moses. Their own experience with the divine is yet to come, and that's going to change things. Add another layer, for sure.
And that's where the cloud comes in, right?
Oh yes, the cloud.
God says, "I am going to come to you in a dense cloud so that the people will hear me speaking with you and will always put their trust in you." So it's not just about God appearing, it's about solidifying Moses' leadership role, his authority in the eyes of the people.
Multiple purposes, you see. You're absolutely right. It's a manifestation of God's presence, mysterious and awe-inspiring. But it's also there to bolster trust in Moses, their intermediary. Hearing God speak to Moses, even indirectly, will give them more confidence in his leadership. So it's divine presence, but also about strengthening Moses' position.
Okay, so things are starting to really take shape here. Now, God lays out specific instructions for the Israelites to prepare. For consecration, consecrate yourselves for 2 days, today and tomorrow, wash your clothes, and be ready by the third day. It's a very detailed to-do list. Why all this preparation?
It's all about making themselves fit for a sacred encounter. It's about purification, readiness, setting themselves apart, approaching the divine with reverence and intentionality. It's a big deal.
And the text makes it very clear why. Because on that day the Lord will come down on Mount Sinai in the sight of all the people. No room for misinterpretation there.
Can you imagine, knowing that God is about to appear in such a direct and visible way? The anticipation, the awe, probably a bit of fear mixed in too.
It's a build-up to an extraordinary event, but here's the catch. It's not just an open invitation, there are boundaries, very strict ones. God says to Moses, put limits for the people around the mountain and warn them, do not approach it, do not touch it.
The consequences are pretty severe.
Death by stoning or arrows. And the text even says, not a hand is to be laid on them. Not even animals are exempt. It's a serious warning. What's that telling us about this encounter?
This highlights just how sacred, how other this divine presence is. The mountain becomes holy ground. Any unauthorized approach is a violation, a serious one, with serious consequences. The part about not even laying a hand on those who transgress, that really emphasizes the absolute nature of this prohibition. It's dangerous to have an unmediated encounter with God. For you, the listener, this is important. The very first interaction with God in this story comes with very clear, even harsh, boundaries. It sets the tone. This relationship is built on deep respect, on awe. It's not something to be taken lightly.
And there's only one way, one time they can approach, when the ram's horn sounds a long blast. That's the signal.
Exactly. The sound of the horn will mark the moment, a designated time for interaction. And it has to be on God's terms, not on a whim.
Moses follows these instructions to the letter. He goes down the mountain, consecrates the people, they wash their clothes, and then he gives them one final instruction. Prepare yourselves for the third day. Abstain from sexual relations. What's the significance of that?
Interesting, right? Abstaining from sex was often linked with ritual purity, in many cultures actually. It was about focusing yourself, putting aside earthly desires, and preparing for a spiritual experience. It adds another layer to the whole consecration process. It's not just about physical cleanliness, it's about discipline, getting into the right state of mind.
And then the morning of the third day arrives, and the description, it's overwhelming. There was thunder and lightning with a thick cloud over the mountain and a very loud trumpet blast. Everyone in the camp trembled.
That would have been so intense to witness, to experience.
The text really wants us to feel that intensity. The thunder and lightning, the thick cloud, the deafening trumpet blast. It evokes awe, fear. It reminds you that there's a power at play that's beyond human comprehension. Everyone in the camp trembled. That says it all, really.
It does. Those sensory details are deliberate. It's God's presence made manifest. It demands attention and reverence.
Moses then leads the people to the foot of the mountain. Mount Sinai was covered with smoke because the Lord descended on it in fire. The smoke billowed up from it like smoke from a furnace, and the whole mountain trembled violently.
Wow. The imagery is just, it's so powerful. Fire and smoke, they're traditional symbols of divine presence in many cultures. And the image of the mountain itself trembling, it's a powerful reminder of God's power.
And the trumpet blast, it keeps getting louder and louder. As the sound of the trumpet grew louder and louder, Moses spoke, and the voice of God answered him. This incredible back and forth, a direct line of communication, amidst all this chaos and grandeur.
It's a striking image. It really underlines Moses' role as that crucial intermediary. Even in this incredible display of power, Moses is able to communicate with God directly. It reinforces his unique position.
But the instructions don't stop there. God says, go down and warn the people so they do not force their way through to see the Lord, and many of them perish. The boundaries are still in place, front and center. Why repeat the warning?
It's a reminder about the dangers of approaching the divine without permission. It emphasizes the need for respect, for following the rules, the phrase, many of them perish. That underscores just how serious the consequences are. It's not a suggestion, it's a command.
And it's not just directed at the people in general, it's specifically aimed at the priests too. Even the priests who approach the Lord must consecrate themselves, or the Lord will break out against them. Even those with a specific religious role, they're not exempt, they have to prepare themselves.
Right, it's not about status. It's about recognizing the hierarchy of holiness. Everyone, even those who are closer to the divine, need to be prepared, to be consecrated, to be worthy.
Moses, maybe understandably, points this out to God. He says, the people cannot come up Mount Sinai because you yourself warned us, put limits around the mountain and set it apart as holy. It sounds like he's a little bit confused.
Well, he's reminding God of the instructions that were already given. It shows that there's a dialogue happening. It's not just a one-way street. Moses is an active participant, a leader who's engaged.
And God clarifies, he says, go down and bring Aaron up with you. But the priests and the people must not force their way through to come up to the Lord, or he will break out against them. So Moses and Aaron are allowed closer, but the restrictions remain in place for everyone else.
This distinction is fascinating, isn't it? It points to this established order, this hierarchy. Moses and Aaron have a special role, but the core principle remains. Boundaries are essential. Consecration is essential, especially for the wider community.
So Moses went down to the people and told them. That's how the excerpt ends. A simple statement. But it sums it all up, really. Moses, the messenger, the one who lays the divine word, who ensures those instructions are heard.
He's the bridge between God and the people, the crucial link.
Okay, so let's take a step back and recap. We've seen the Israelites arrive at Sinai at a very specific time. We've heard the offer of the covenant, rooted in their escape from Egypt. We've witnessed their initial agreement, their pledge to obey. We saw the cloud, the sign meant to solidify Moses' authority. We heard the very detailed instructions for preparation, for consecration, and we saw those strict boundaries put in place around the mountain. And then the dramatic arrival of God, the thunder, the lightning, the smoke, the trembling mountain. A truly awesome sight.
Awe-inspiring, but also terrifying. It's a reminder that this encounter is not to be taken lightly. The preparation, the boundaries, they all point to that.
It's all carefully choreographed. And for you listening, the takeaway here is this. It's not just about God appearing. It's about the preparation, the rules, the establishment of sacred space. It's about how we approach the divine.
Exactly. Think about it. The invitation is incredible. To become a treasured possession, a kingdom of priests. But the restrictions are just as important. The limits, the warnings. What do you guys tell us about the relationship that's being formed? It's a relationship based on promise, yes, but also on deep respect, on awe, even fear.
It's a lot to unpack, and we've only just scratched the surface.
That we have, but it's a good starting point.
And thanks so much for joining us for this deep dive into Exodus. It's a text that's full of challenges and big questions. We hope this has given you some food for thought.
Until next time, keep exploring.
And keep those big questions in mind.